My 22nd birthday did not begin with any fanfare or celebration. On that cold, foggy morning in Boston, the air carried a strange stillness. There were no balloons in the house, no cake, and no love in anyone's eyes for me. Just a hard, piercing silence, which broke when my father, Arthur Sterling, called me into his lavish oak-wood library. His voice carried the same old coldness, as if he was summoning an employee to fire them. I pushed open the heavy doors of the library and stepped inside. On one side of the room stood my older brother, Julian. He was wearing a custom-made Armani suit, and on his face was that familiar smirk, the smile he wore whenever he thought I had completely lost. On the other side stood my mother, Eleanor. Her eyes were red, and she kept rubbing her hands together, as if she wanted to stop the approaching storm but lacked the courage. Arthur turned towards me. In his hand was a small, plain white envelope. "Elias," he began, his tone completely flat and rehearsed. "You are 22 years old today. Over the past few years, we have observed that you have no interest in this family's real estate business. You lock yourself in your room, wasting time on your computers and worthless projects. The Sterling family has no place for lazy, aimless individuals." He extended the envelope towards me. "Open it." I took the envelope. I thought perhaps it contained details of some small trust fund, or perhaps an admission form for some new degree so they could shape me in their way. But when I opened it, inside was just a single piece of paper. A one-way train ticket, Boston to Austin, Texas. The train was to leave in exactly 4 hours. My heart stopped for a second, then began beating rapidly. Arthur placed both his hands on his desk and said, looking into my eyes, "An old acquaintance of mine in Austin has a small warehouse. You will go there, do inventory work at ground level, and figure out your own life. From today, you will not receive a single dollar from me. You will choose your own path. Good luck." Julian could no longer contain himself. A sharp, stinging laugh escaped him. "Enjoy the trip, little brother. Perhaps the Texas sun will get your brain working properly. Or maybe I'll find you working at a petrol station." Mother stepped forward and grabbed my hand. Her voice was trembling. "Please, Elias, don't argue. Do as your father says. Don't be stubborn today." I looked at the three of them. My dismissive father who considered me the family's disgrace, my arrogant brother who was rejoicing in my downfall, and my frightened mother. They thought they were pushing me out of my comfort zone into a dark abyss. They thought I was broken inside, that I was scared. But they had no idea. Not 1% of an idea of what was going on inside me. A strange calm settled over my mind. I folded the envelope slowly and tucked it into my jacket pocket. I hugged Mother tightly, holding back my tears, and did not say a single word. I did not even turn to look at Arthur or Julian. No anger, no shouting, no defense. My silence was 1,000 times heavier than their taunts. I went to my room, picked up my old leather duffel bag, and walked out of the doors of that lavish Boston mansion forever. As the door closed, I felt as if centuries of weight had been lifted from my shoulders. Because the truth was, what they didn't know, what they couldn't even dream of, was that I was no failure or directionless boy in need of tough love. I was the co-founder of Nexus Dynamics, a clean energy tech company whose current market valuation had crossed $60 million. This ticket was not a punishment for me. It was my official pass to freedom. 4 hours later, I sat by the window seat of the Amtrak train. Raindrops slid down the glass, and the sky began to clear. My phone kept vibrating. Messages from my business partner and best friend, Carter Hayes, flashed on the screen. Carter was 24 years old, sharp, always full of energy, and one of Silicon Valley's most formidable negotiators. He was the kind of person who could turn anyone into a fan after just 5 minutes of conversation. Carter. Hey man, where are you? We have meeting prep to do. Carter. Bro, did you really just leave Boston early? Carter. Wait, the location tracker says you're on a train. Train? What happened to the private jet option? Call me. I typed a reply with a slight smile. Long story, Carter. Father gave me a one-way train ticket for my 22nd birthday. I've been exiled. See you in Austin. I locked my phone and looked outside. They thought I would be counting inventory in some dusty warehouse. But the reality was that the new state-of-the-art headquarters of Nexus Dynamics was being built in Austin, Texas. The entire tech world was waiting for the release of our new AI-driven energy grid, Aegis. Investors were lining up and our company's value was increasing every day. But what did my family think? That I had come onto the streets with just 2 pairs of clothes and a backpack, and that was exactly what I wanted. Revenge does not need noise. It only needs the right timing. Austin, Texas. When the train pulled into Austin Station, the hot, blazing sun welcomed me. Boston's cold air was now far behind. As I stepped out of the station, a sleek, matte black Tesla Model S Plaid was parked outside. The driver's door opened and Carter stepped out. He was wearing designer aviator sunglasses, and his face carried both confusion and amusement. He looked at me, then at my old duffel bag, then lowered his glasses slightly. You actually came by train. Your father is literally trying to turn you into a street-level nobody. I tossed my bag into Tesla's trunk and took a long breath. He thought he was bringing me down to the ground, Carter. But the truth is, he gave me the sky to fly. Carter smiled slowly. Elias, man. You are completely insane. You know that, right? A multi-million-dollar tech company's owner is acting like he's just a teenager who ran away from home. I prefer strategic silence, I said, sitting in the passenger seat. Carter started the car, and we drove through Austin's shining roads. We were heading straight to Nexus Dynamics HQ. It was a 25-story glass and steel tower, at the top of which our logo, a futuristic blue helix, glittered in the sun. Every time I saw this building, an electric current ran through my veins. Even though my name was not yet written outside this building, every code, every algorithm running on its servers was the result of my sleepless nights and hard work. As soon as the elevator doors opened on our top-floor executive suite, the entire core team was standing there. Surprise! Happy birthday, Elias! Confetti flew. A large cake sat in front. My throat tightened a little. These were not my blood relatives. This was not the family that had kicked me out. This was the family I had chosen myself, the one I had built with my own hands. They had valued me for my capability, not my name. I cut the cake, laughed with everyone, joked around. But a silent timer was ticking in the back of my mind. Carter sent everyone back to work and locked the conference room's glass door. He turned on the projector, and a slide appeared. The board of directors has finally approved it, Elias. Carter's voice was now completely serious and professional. Next week, on Friday, we are launching Aegis globally at the Austin Convention Center. And not just the product. We are also doing the founders reveal. My breath stopped for a moment. Media, press, TechCrunch, Forbes. Everyone will be there. The entire country will watch it live. Carter said, looking into my eyes. Your picture, your name, will flash on every major news network. Your father's small real estate empire will look like a joke in front of our valuation. Are you ready? I looked at the Nexus Dynamics logo flashing on the projector screen. I remembered my old room. I remembered Julian's stinging laugh. I remembered Arthur's final line. "You have no existence in this world." I placed my hands on the conference table, my eyes burning with a fire that would no longer hide. "I've been ready for years, Carter." My voice was completely cold and calm. "Next week, we will show this world who they threw out of their house." The next morning, the city of Austin felt larger, brighter, and more electric than ever before, as if the entire city was beating him in rhythm with my heart. I hadn't slept properly, but there was no trace of tiredness anywhere. When you have a great purpose, exhaustion falls away on its own. Only one thing was coursing through my veins right now: momentum. Nexus Dynamics' global reveal at the Austin Convention Center the following Friday was now absolutely confirmed. A full media rollout, press conferences, a live product demonstration, and the biggest surprise, our company's new valuation update. Carter had told me that after testing the new algorithm, investor interest had surged so much that our estimated valuation was jumping from $60 million to over $75 million. $75 million. And back in Boston, my family were probably still thinking that I was counting boxes in some dingy Texas warehouse or sleeping on a cheap park bench. I said to myself, let them live in that lie. Revenge doesn't need shouting. It only needs perfect timing. When I arrived at the office in the morning, Carter was already there. He was bent over the large glass table in the conference room, surrounded by mock-ups and photos created for the press release. Seeing me enter, he looked up, slid a file towards me, and asked with a smile, "Elias, tell me something. Do you want to be the face of this storm or the silence before it?" I furrowed my brows and asked, "What do you mean?" "Look at this," Carter said, tapping on two different design concepts on the tablet. Option A is bold, powerful, absolute CEO energy. Your look here is like a powerful ruler who has come to dominate the market. And option B is a softer, reserved genius energy. A boy whose mind quietly built an entire empire, but who stays a little away from the limelight. Which one do we focus on? Which look will create more of an impact in the market? I looked at both photos. The confidence and power in option A were my true reality, the one I had suppressed for years in that Boston mansion. With a slight smile, I looked into Carter's eyes and said, "Option A. Every time option A, I don't want to appear weak or small anymore. I want full power. No more shrinking." Carter's exhaustion vanished in an instant, and his smile deepened. "That's the Elias I know. Right, let's start working on this." We spent the entire morning polishing speeches, reviewing the prototypes of the Aegis AI grid, and double-checking every single financial detail. But throughout this time, one thought kept nagging at the back of my mind. They really have no idea. At exactly 12 noon, my phone vibrated. The name Mom flashed on the screen. My heart stopped for a second, not from fear but from a strange coldness. I took a deep breath and answered the call. "Mom?" Her trembling voice came from the other end. "Elias." "Son, where are you? Your father said you never showed up at the warehouse address he gave you, and you left without telling anyone. Julian is constantly making nasty comments about you. The atmosphere at home has become very toxic. I'm very worried." I went to the window on the 25th floor and looked out at Austin's glittering buildings. "I'm fine, Mom. Really. I'm absolutely fine." Your voice sounds different, Elias," she whispered softly. "Stronger than before, calmer than before." I didn't tell her where I was or at what height I was standing. I didn't want any half-truth to reach her. I wanted the reveal to be so clear, so unexpected and so big that no one could deny it. "Just trust me, Mom," I said in a very gentle but firm tone. "I am doing the most important work of my life right now." Before she could ask me any more questions, Carter called my name from across the conference room. "Elias, the Convention Center management has finalized the venue. Austin Tech Hall. Everything is official now." I tightened my grip on the phone slightly. "Mom, I have to go now. I'll talk to you soon, okay?" She hesitated for a moment, then said, "I love you, son." "I love you too, Mom." I hung up and walked towards Carter, channeling every emotional surge rising inside me into the adrenaline that was setting me on fire. That evening, Carter and I went for a full walkthrough of the Austin Tech Hall. The hall was so vast that it could seat thousands of people. Rows of seats, large camera cranes, and behind the stage was a nearly 50-foot giant LED screen on which our company logo was already glowing in blue lights. "You will stand here." Carter guided, positioning me right in the center of the stage. "The spotlight will hit you directly from above. The cameras will be here, here, and in front. And on this screen behind you, a large photo of you will flash with your full title beneath it. Elias Sterling, co-founder and lead systems architect." My chest filled with pride and a strange sense of calm. Standing on that stage, I was no longer the pitiful boy whom my father had shown the door. I was the man who had created a blueprint in the world of technology that the entire country was about to witness. "Elias," Carter said in a very quiet but firm voice, "next Friday, this entire world will be at your feet, not theirs." I nodded. "Good. Because after this reveal, I will no longer be just the person they underestimated. I will become a force they cannot ignore." That entire week passed like a bolt of lightning. Each morning brought a new challenge. Meetings with PR teams, live dry runs of the tech demonstrations, and conference calls with international investors. Our schedule had become like a battlefield, where every second was worth millions. Carter stood with me at every step, but the pressure in the air was something I could feel clearly inside me. Finally, Thursday night arrived, exactly 24 hours before the reveal. Nexus Dynamics' entire building was still lit up at 2 a.m., like a lighthouse shining in a dark ocean. We were doing the final run-through in Conference Room 9 when the phone on the table rang again. This time it wasn't Mom, but a text message from my older brother Julian. The text preview flashed on the screen. "Mom is worried for nothing. Dad says the Texas heat must have brought you down to size, and you'll be crying to borrow money within the next couple of days. If you need some cash, just let me know. I'll talk to Dad. Ha 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 ha." My jaw tightened so hard that my teeth began to grind. Carter saw my face and asked, "What happened? Is that Julian?" "Nothing new," I said, turning the phone over and placing it on the table. "The same old belief that I am nothing without them, a helpless individual." Carter leaned forward, his eyes locked onto mine. "All of this will end tomorrow, Elias. Forever. For good." I took a deep breath. "You're right. After tomorrow, they will never dare to laugh at me again." We finished the meeting and walked towards the elevator. In the large mirrors of the elevator, I saw my reflection. My eyes held a different kind of madness, a mixture of fear, awareness, and victory that made me feel like a rocket about to launch. As the elevator stopped at the lobby and the doors opened, a new notification arrived on my phone. This time it was a voicemail from Mom. I played it without thinking. Her voice was heavy from the very first second. "Elias, I don't know where you are, or what you're doing. But since you left, the air in this house has changed. Your father is just putting on a show of anger on the surface, but he keeps asking about you too. Julian just lives in his own world. I'm very scared, son. I just hope that wherever you are safe. Forgive me if I couldn't stand up for you. My heart felt a little heavy. Mom had never openly supported me, but in her voice I heard something new, regret and fear. She was now realizing that they had pushed me too far away. Carter placed his hand on my shoulder. Are you okay, man? Yeah, I said, clearing the lump in my throat. They think I'm lost, Carter. Then show them tomorrow that you weren't lost. You were searching for your own sky. This is bigger than anything they ever imagined. His sentence fueled me like rocket fuel. Friday morning began like an explosion. From 6 a.m. onwards, a crowd of reporters had started gathering outside the Austin Tech Hall. Vans from every major tech channel were lined up. Photographers were setting up their tripods, and people from nearby buildings had also come, standing behind the barricades with their phones held up, as if they had come to witness history in the making. Because history was truly about to be made today. Inside the venue, Nexus Dynamics' entire team was working like a perfect machine. Sound checks were underway, lighting cues were being matched, and video feeds were being tested. Exactly 10 minutes before the show was due to start, Carter came running backstage, a tablet in his hand, and a smile on his face that refused to fade. Elias! It's gone viral! What? What happened? I asked. He turned the tablet towards me. A very large national tech media outlet had leaked a teaser with the caption, Breaking! Boston's elite family's prodigy, or Austin's mystery tech genius, the real mind behind Nexus Dynamics to be revealed today. And beneath it was a blurred silhouette photo, clearly of me. My heart pounded. We didn't leak that? Exactly, Carter said. Someone inside did this to build up the hype, and it worked. In the last hour, the press pool has doubled. The entire country is sitting in front of their computer screens right now, waiting to watch this live stream. I took a long, cold breath. Okay, let's do this. Just then, the stage coordinator stuck his head in and said, Carter, Elias, your cue is in 5 minutes. Please come to backstage position. We made our way through the dark gallery to the back of the stage. Wires, glowing monitors, and a web of cameras were everywhere. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips. Carter patted my shoulder and said, Elias Sterling, co-founder, architect, powerhouse. Go and take what's yours. I walked into the dark section of the stage where I had to wait for the spotlight. My family didn't know where I was. They didn't know what I had built. They didn't know that in the next few seconds, I was about to rise so far above their imagination that their eyes wouldn't even reach. The announcer's deep voice echoed, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future of energy. Introducing the brilliant mind and the co-founder of Nexus Dynamics. The spotlight hit, and the entire hall erupted with applause. The light was so intense that for a second I thought my breath had stopped. But in the very next moment, I took my first step forward, completely confident, completely ready. The spotlight was so bright and white that for a second, I thought my eyes had gone blind. In front of me was a sea of thousands of people, from which the sounds of camera flashes came continuously. Click, click, click. That sound was like a sword cutting through every insult, every taunt of the past years. I took a deep breath. My heart was no longer beating fast, but in a new, cold and steady rhythm. I adjusted the microphone slightly, and my voice echoed through the entire convention center, completely clear and weighty. Thank you all for being here, I began, and the echo of my voice created a strange silence in the hall. Nexus Dynamics did not start in a lavish boardroom or with a big check from investors. It started in a small garage with 2 cheap laptops and a mind that was deemed worthless by its own people. We created an algorithm that not only secures energy grids, but controls the power of tomorrow. And today, we are bringing that technology before the world. Aegis AI Grid. I slowly turned my hand towards the back. The dark shadow on that 50-foot giant LED screen disappeared in an instant. A massive futuristic blue Helix logo flashed, and right beneath it, before the entire world, a high-definition black and white portrait photo of me flashed. Beneath that photo, in large golden letters, it read. There was a breathless silence in the entire hall for a second, and then a massive explosion of applause. People stood up everywhere. Fingers began flying over reporters' laptops. Flashbulbs started flashing continuously like broken stars. I was no longer the Elias who sat silently taking insults. I was the force that the entire country was now watching live. At that very moment, nearly 2,000 miles away, breakfast was underway at that lavish, cold, Sterling mansion in Boston. Fresh, expensive dishes were laid out on the table, but the atmosphere there was as arrogant and haughty as ever. Arthur Sterling sat with his business newspaper in hand, and Julian was mocking some real estate deal on his phone. Eleanor silently swirled her teacup, her mind still stuck on last night's voicemail. Julian, Arthur said without lifting his head from the newspaper. Turn on TechCrunch's live stream. Some new clean energy company in Austin is doing a big reveal today. I want to see if there's anything worth investing in there for our real estate portfolio. Sure, Dad. Julian laughed, picked up his iPad, and placed it in the middle of the table after turning on the live stream. Besides, there's only heat and dust in Texas. I don't know why these tech people keep running there. The live stream began playing on the iPad. The announcer's voice came. Introducing the brilliant mind and the co-founder of Nexus Dynamics. And then the spotlight fell on Elias. The fork in Julian's hand clattered onto the plate. That arrogant smile he had worn for the last 10 years vanished in an instant. His eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. Dad! Julian's voice got stuck in his throat. Dad! Look at this. Arthur adjusted his glasses in annoyance and looked at the iPad. His entire body turned to stone for a second. The newspaper slipped from his hand and fell to the floor. On the screen stood his younger son, whom he had thrown out of the house just 2 days ago, with a one-way train ticket and a cheap duffel bag of clothes. Dressed in a charcoal gray suit, behind him glowed the logo of a $75 million company, and thousands of people were standing and cheering his name. As soon as Eleanor saw the screen, she covered her mouth with both hands. Tears began flowing from her eyes, but this time they were not tears of fear. They were the tears of a mother who now understood that her son was not wandering lost. He had built his own sky. This cannot happen. Arthur's voice trembled. His face had turned completely pale. Elias? He was supposed to be counting inventory in a Texas warehouse. I sent him there to destroy him. Dad! Julian stammered, his true worth now clearly visible on his face. His company. Nexus Dynamics. Its current market value is $75 million. And look at the ticker below. The National Power Grid is signing a deal with them. On stage, I could feel their shock completely, even though they were thousands of miles away from me. I looked at Carter, who was slowly smiling at me from the right side of the stage. He gave me a thumbs up. Now it was time for the business. I began the live demonstration of Aegis AI Grid. Large holograms started rotating on stage with my hand movements. I showed how our AI system automatically reroutes any cyber attack or power grid failure before it even happens. Every single line of mine carried years of hard work, sleepless nights, and an unshakable confidence. When the presentation ended, the roar that rose from the hall was twice as loud as before. The chief executive of the National Power Consortium came on stage, shook my hand in front of the entire world, and announced into the microphone, "Nexus Dynamics Aegis system has far exceeded our expectations. Today, before the entire world, we are signing an exclusive federal contract worth $250 million with Elias Sterling and Carter Hayes. $250 million. The valuation graph that was running on the screen suddenly shot up and crossed straight past $300 million. I was no longer just a tech founder. I had become the new kingpin of this industry. As soon as the presentation ended, a whole herd of reporters rushed towards me. "Elias! Is it true that you wrote this algorithm alone? Elias, you're only 22 years old. How does it feel to become America's youngest clean energy tycoon? Elias, the Sterling family's real estate business is so big. Will you form any partnership with them?" I answered every question with great calm and sweetness. Every word would be hitting the walls of that Boston mansion like a hammer. I knew that well. Nearly 3 hours after the reveal event, having escaped the media interviews and celebrations, I sat in a quiet conference room backstage. My phone was lying on the table, and it had been continuously vibrating for the last 2 hours. "Dad calling. Julian calling. Dad calling." I let them keep ringing. I let them yearn for that one voice they had never tried to listen to. Finally, when the name Mom flashed on the screen, I picked up the phone and put it on speaker. "Elias. Son." The first voice was not Mom's, but Arthur Sterling's. His heavy, arrogant voice was now completely broken. It carried a strange sycophancy and panic. "Elias, can you hear me?" I did not answer. I just remained silent, that same silence of mine that they had seen on my birthday 2 days ago. "Son, we just watched the national news," Arthur continued, his breath quickening. We had no idea you were doing such big work. The whole family is very happy. Julian is also here. He's saying that by merging our real estate business and your tech company, we can create a new empire. You take the next flight back to Boston. I will come to the airport myself to welcome you. You are the true heir of the Sterling family." I gave a cold, soft laugh. That laugh was so sharp that Arthur's speaking suddenly stopped on the other end of the phone. "Heir of the Sterling family?" I said in a very calm tone. "Arthur Sterling. You seem to have forgotten. 2 days ago, you handed me a white envelope containing a one-way train ticket. You said there was no place in this family for a worthless person like me. You didn't throw me out of the house. You freed me from your arrogant burden." "Elias, son, just listen to me," Arthur stammered. "That was just a test. I wanted you to become tough. Don't lie, Dad." I called them Dad for the first and last time. But there was no love in it. "You aren't proud of me. You are proud of my $300 million valuation. If today I were actually working in some warehouse, you wouldn't even want to see my face for the next 10 years. Julian." I paused for a moment. "Julian, are you there?" There was complete silence on the phone. Julian had gone completely mute. "Julian, didn't you say that I would be working at a petrol station in the Texas sun? From the top floor of the building where I am sitting today, your entire Boston business looks like a small toy. I don't need your real estate or your name. I have built my own name." Mom's voice suddenly came on the phone. She was crying. Elias. Forgive me, son. I was always scared.